everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to bring you just another quick artist tip. This one's for the pastel artists. So maybe you've just finished a pastel painting and you realize that you want to sign your signature with crisp clarity, but you can't use a pastel pencil to get that detail nice and crisp because there's just too many layers of pastel. It's too soft and the pastel pencil won't stick. So what do? Well, there are a couple of different options, but this one happens to be my favorite and I'm going to share it with you today. By the way, please don't mind my desk. I know it's all messy, but you know, this is the art studio, so what can you expect? So I've got this painting here that I've just finished in pastel, and I'll have a video of this and I'll link it up. And one option that you can do is you can of course always spray a layer of fixative and see if that helps. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But with these Mount Vision pastels, I found that because they are a little softer, it's just not going to work out for me that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the color of my choice. And this method will ensure that you have color harmony with your signature and it matches the rest of the painting. So that's very important to me. In this instance, I'm taking this kind of burnt carmine color that I really love to use. It's actually like the darkest fuchsia. And I'm going to take a palette knife and I'm going to scrape some pastel dust into a little palette. Now do this down low. Don't do it way up here. You don't want to be breathing the dust. Nice and low and gentle, and you just want to scrape until you get a little pile of pastel dust or pigment basically. And this will work with any brand. Once I'm satisfied that I have enough, I'm going to take a tiny bit of water, and I mean a tiny bit, like hopefully you can see I've got a little bit of a drop on my palette knife. I'm just going to get it in there. It's not coming off. There it is. I'm going to take a toothpick and I'm going to stir that to combine to create a nice rich paint. You don't want to over dilute this, and it doesn't take much. Some pastels actually use gum arabic as their binder, which is the binder in watercolor, or they have some of that in there. So what you essentially make here is something likened to a gouache paint. I need a tiny bit more water, but not too much. It's kind of like an opaque watercolor. You've got pigment, you've got the binder, and you've got a little, now there's no, I don't think there's any gum arabic in these pastels actually. I think I need just a tiny bit more, and I mean ever so tiny bit more. Add the tiniest little amounts of water at a time. That right there, way too much. So I'm going to pour that back off. And don't mind my old porcelain palette here. I know it's quite dirty, but I'm going to combine that until I've got a nice consistency, thicker than ink, okay? Now ink is another option, of course, but it won't be harmonious with the rest of the pastel painting, and it might not be accepted into certain contests anymore. Then you're going to take a brush that you can control. You want something stiffer than a watercolor brush, certainly, because you're going to be cutting through the pastel, the soft pastel with your brush. So, and I wouldn't recommend using your good like squirrel brushes or anything either, because if you're working on a sanded surface, that's going to be a problem. Hold on one second. Let me make sure I get that into frame. All right. Yeah, there we go. And now I can just literally paint on my signature. Isn't that lovely? So I love doing it this way. This also works to get really fine details. It works with like feathers and hair and things like that. If you've got a really soft pastel and you can't get the details that you want, now you kind of can. So I'm able to get my signature painted in there now in a way where it's harmonious with everything, and it's nice and clear and readable. Because if I was going to use like that thick chunky pastel stick, as you can see, I mean, it's just not going to be possible. So that's my little artist tip for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this and found it helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos in the future. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.